previous video that I showed you how to make some really easy edible sand. Today I'm going to show you how to make a different type of sand. It's really mouldable and just a little bit more involved. Okay, so what you're going to need is some sugar, brown soft sugar. You can use dark brown or you can use light brown. The only thing that's going to be different is the colour of your end product. You also will need some flour. I would recommend using corn flour because it just makes a better consistency, it holds together a bit better. However, if you haven't got any corn flour in your cupboard, you can absolutely just use plain flour or self-raising flour or whatever other normal white flour you have. It just won't be quite as good at sticking together. You will also need some oil. I've got vegetable oil, you could use olive oil, sunflower oil, coconut oil, any oil you like. You could even use baby oil if your child isn't one that's going to eat the substance. And then the only other things you'll need are a bowl to mix it in, a whisk to mix it together, and a measuring cup and spoon. One of the things I love about this recipe is that you can get your child involved in making it right from scratch, and it offers different opportunities within it for different textures and different sensory experiences. So you can really observe your child and see what sort of textures they like, what textures they seem to recoil from, and just give them that opportunity and a bit of time to really explore it for themselves. So what you're going to need is a cup of sugar. Really doesn't matter what type of cup you use, and you're going to have an equal part of sugar to corn flour. So as long as you use the same one, it's going to work fine. I'm going to do this in different bowls just so that you can see the texture. So already that's quite pleasing to the eye because it holds together, and you can give your child a bit of time just to play in the sugar as they would like to. They can just squeeze it together, draw around in it. If you put it on a tray, they can mark making the sugar. And although it sticks to the hand, it's actually less invasive than the corn flour or the flour would be, because that will really stick to the whole of their hand. So maybe start with the sugar first and just see how your child likes that, and give them a bit of time with that experience. So then you're going to add some corn flour, but again, I would, to make this a really full experience, I'd do it in a separate container or move the sugar aside so that they can just have a go with the flour on its own as well. Let me just grab some of this. Again, not an exact science, you saw some of that fell out. I'm just going to tip it into the bowl. And this is a lot messier straight away because it just sticks to the hand. It's very squeaky. My colleague and partner can't bear the feel of corn flour at all, whereas I love it, and I would sit and squeak it and play with it forever. She'll throw something at me if I keep doing that. Just bear in mind that your child might really hate something, and that's nothing to do with a sensory aversion or an issue. It's just their preference, and that's fine. Normally we talk about in sensory play starting with dry things first because it's less invasive on their senses. However, some children might just prefer the feel of a wet play, sensory play, and that's fine, but that's why this is so important to just do some observation and give opportunity to try different things at different times and just see what your child seems to gravitate to. So once your child's had a really good play and they seem to have enjoyed what they're doing, or maybe not, you can then mix the two together. So I'm going to just do this with my hands. If your child has had a bit of an issue with it, hasn't liked it particularly with their hands, give them a whisk or a spoon and they can use that. You can try that anyway because it's just a nice experience and another fine motor skill to stir. Once it's all mixed together, again, have another play. It's a slightly grittier experience now because the sugar's in with the corn flour, so that's another 5-10 minutes of play that if they're enjoying it. So now we're going to add some oil. You need roughly, the recipe officially says 4 tablespoons, but depends on the size of the cup you've obviously used. So if you start off with 2 and give it a good mix, you probably want to add a little bit more, but it's better to add it gradually because if you add too much, it's obviously harder to rectify. So you mix in with your whisk, and you need to kind of get the clumps out, give them a good bash down again. Definitely going to add another tablespoon. And And when it gets to about that stage where it's clumped together, if you get everything out of the whisk and then get your hands in, it's much easier just to finish off with your hands. And rub it together, it's a bit like rubbing in pastry. Again, your child can be doing this, you can do it together. And there we have your mouldable sand. So here you can see the 3 different types of sand I've made today, using the dark brown and the light brown sugar, and really the colour is the only real difference. There's very little difference in texture, so it really doesn't matter what you use at home, whether it's corn flour or plain flour or self-raising, just go for it. I'm going to mix it up and then just show you an idea that you could use in play.
Away under the moonlight and share a little laugh with me. By 11 I'll be holding you so tight and loving every part of it.